I don't get many visitors around here. I hear the city's in quite a state right about now. Well, there is an old road through these woods that leads to the neighboring town. It's easy to get lost, I'm afraid. Let me show you the way. Let's hope no one gets hurt. It's not like there's a decent hospital around here after all.
Hospital?
In 1993, deep within the Arklay Mountains, there was once a hospital built by a pharmaceutical company that was linked to Umbrella. The hospital was located near a river with a small suspension bridge that connects with the forested mountain path. What was once a beautiful location soon became the very first tragic and long-forgotten bizarre case that revolved around the T-virus. And soon after the hospital was left abandoned, it would become the location of a serial killer known as the Axeman. But in order to know who the Axeman was, first we must dive deeper into the lore of the Arklay Hospital and why it was left abandoned for years. When the hospital was open, the administrator of the hospital was a man called Albert Lester, but most people would call him Al Lester. Al Lester had a wife named Dorothy, whom he loved very much, devoting much of his time for her. But one day, she contracted terminal cancer, and with no other options left, he injected her with a mutagen based upon the T-virus. It successfully fended off the cancer, but it also caused her to develop the disease. Al Lester was left devastated to know that his wife still died after all of his efforts, and even left without answers as to what truly killed his wife Dorothy Lester. Aside from Dorothy, there was another patient that was admitted to the hospital before it closed. His name was Doug Frost, and just like Dorothy, he too was a cancer patient. They used the Umbrella-created experimental drug known as TJCCC-203, which successfully destroyed the cancerous cells, but unfortunately, it also had a side effect that led to his death a few days later. Not long after, a police investigation regarding the drug shipments was launched, and even though they were found to be accepting illegal imports, Umbrella's involvement with the Raccoon City Police Department prevented any charges from being filed on them. It was even left unreported by the media. However, an investigative journalist known as Kurt picked up the rumors of the bizarre experimentations, the dealings with foreign businesses, and the suspicious deaths of the hospital patients. But seeing as no one was reporting on any of these incidents, he began to investigate on his own. He was determined to uncover the truth as more hospital patients were frequently dying, and seeing as Umbrella did a successful job to cover up all tracks on what was really happening, including the fact that the RPD would not cooperate, he took matters into his own hands and visited the hospital in hopes of getting a hold of samples of the medication being used on the patients. But his timing became a fatal mistake, as Dorothy Lester had just passed away and reanimated into a zombie due to the T-virus infection, and she instantly attacked Kurt, killing him, and once again, keeping the citizens of Raccoon City unaware of what really went on in the Arklay hospital. However, when Kurt decided to go on his own into the hospital, his colleague Alyssa, a young and ambitious rookie at the time, was seeking to make a name for herself, so she followed Kurt and ended up witnessing his death. Terrified by what she saw, Alyssa fled the area and managed to escape without any consequences. Even though she managed to escape, however, she was too frightened after witnessing her colleague die in front of her, and she repressed the traumatic memory, forgetting the hospital and even Kurt's death. By now, the hospital was officially closed, but Kurt's death was still covered up. Years went by. Plants and roots began to surround the abandoned hospital. Al Lester decided to pay the abandoned hospital a visit and noticed that it was completely covered in plants and vines, but also a large decorative plant grew around the hospital due to the viral infection. The cadaver of his wife was never buried, but instead, it remained within the plants, covering her body with its roots. Al Lester was shocked to see what had happened to the body of his wife, and seeing as the plant was consuming Dorothy's body, this made him believe that she was still alive within the plant itself. After believing this, Al Lester decided to take on the persona of the psychotic murderer known to everyone as the Axeman. His motivations would soon grow more into believing that his wife was in fact still alive, as the plant would grow more and more after feeding it animals, and later taking things even further and murdering campers nearby to feed them to the enormous plant. By then, his physiology had started to mutate as well. The left side of his stomach would show signs of the infection taking over him, but now he could no longer feel hunger. He would never feel cold or heat, but most of all, he could no longer feel pain, even when being shot point blank with a powerful weapon such as a shotgun. Al Lester was originally meant to appear in the first Resident Evil Outbreak game, but the creators couldn't include everything they wanted to, such as additional scenarios, which meant that they had to create Resident Evil Outbreak File 2. That way they can add the scenarios and everything else that couldn't fit into the first Outbreak game. The flashback scenario was meant to be in the first game, and they even had a different design for Al Lester and his Axeman alter ego. In his first design, he wore a bag similar to a potato bag over his head, and he wasn't shirtless. He wore a long white coat, which could have been his lab coat. However, this could also be the appearance he took on as the Axeman when he was young. Now, in case you have a copy of Outbreak File 2, you can actually play as Al Lester. There are 4 versions of him that can be unlockable, making him the only NPC character with the most alternate costumes in the game. This includes his Axeman alter ego, which means that he's the only boss character that can be playable in the game. However, he does not come with his deadly axe, but this could have been because of balancing issues. You can unlock his first set that includes Al Lester in the outfit he wears in the beginning of the scenario along with his hospital director's outfit by completing the flashback scenario on any difficulty, but you'll also have to purchase it by spending 4,000 points. The second set that includes the Axeman in both the original version and shirtless versions can be unlocked by completing the flashback scenario on the very hard difficulty mode, but that set will cost you 8,000 points. And aside from Al Lester, you can even play as his wife Dorothy after unlocking her. She's a Cindy type character, and in order to get her, you must complete the flashback scenario with a good ending with any character, and purchase her for 5,000 points. Kurt the journalist can also be purchased after completing the flashback scenario as Alyssa. There are 2 versions of him, and he will also cost you 3,000 points. So if you found these characters to be intriguing and you have Resident Evil Outbreak File 2, it's going to take some time, a lot of grinding for points, but it should be worth it. Either that or get yourself an Action Replay or Game Shark to unlock everything in the Outbreak games so you don't have to spend hours trying to get an NPC character.
So there you are, my dear. My dear Dorothy. I'll never leave your side again.
That hospital's experiments were more than just human rights violations. They were crimes against nature itself. Kurt, your sacrifice won't be in vain. I'll escape this damn town alive and spread the truth about what happened.
That's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, be sure to leave a like, share with others, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you'd like to see some extra content, or you'd like to see your name at the end of the videos, then feel free to support the channel by donating a single dollar to my Patreon. There are also additional perks for donating more than $1. The link is on the description, along with the link to my Facebook page, Tumblr, DeviantArt, and Twitter. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.